Good morning, everyone. It's Joker, and today we are back with another slime video, and this will be part 2 of the Beatdown Battle EX2 video series. So yesterday we used 5 teams, mostly focused around Fire and the new Albus Momiji or some variant of that, and then also the Divine General 3rd Anniversary team. So if you didn't see that and you have those teams, go give that one a watch. But today we're going to go through some other meta teams that can pretty easily clear this fight. Again, going through it, Trainee is only really scary once you get to like turn 4 and 5, where she gives herself the pierce rate, pierce power, lowers your defense, and decides to 5-shot you on one single character. Other than that, her HP is reasonable for EX2, and there are a lot of teams that can output that kind of damage very, very quickly. So let's go ahead and just jump in. Alright, let's use the 2nd anniversary team, Visions of Coleus. Technically space, so we are type disadvantage, but I don't really think they give a crap. So Lumi, stacking attack, guaranteed synergy. We brought Water Rimuru for turn 1. If you don't want to bring Cleash or you don't have some other green orb changer, like he's free and it'll work. Coleus Rimuru, Blanc, Violet, Jean. Fairly standard, very easy to use team, quite honestly. So turn 1, we're going to get the seal. So Blanc is not going to use her skill, which is not really that important because we're type disadvantage, realistically. So weakness strike means nothing to us. Sure, the synergy resistance down missing is kind of unfortunate, but it's the least powerful buff, and it's not a big deal that she's sealed. I'd rather have her sealed than Violet. Jean wouldn't be sealed at all, because it's all magic buffs, but still, I want her in the back. So this will help us get a double stack, because we have the new Space EX Unbound Blanc in our support slot. If you don't, then maybe you just only have 1 stack of Lumi. Not really a big deal. But we got lucky on our orbs, so we just need to use Rimuru again, or whoever you brought to change your green orbs on turn 1. We'll take Violet out. We're just going to nuke with pretty much Jean at this point, so we'll get her ult and maybe like a Blanc ult or something. But we're going to leave Coleus Rimuru in the back because he's got those rainbow orbs, and that's going to be really important to help rush our ults very, very quickly. And here, like, that worked out fairly well. So we'll bring Violet in first for Water Rimuru. We'll use her orb change, give it a full hand of blue, do another stack on all 3 of the girls, and then we'll bring in Rimuru to then convert all these to rainbows and get us very close to an EX ult Blanc, and we'll get an ult for Jean. And that's pretty much all we need. Like, she does not have that much HP. We do not need triple EX ults here. So, especially with the magic buff and the ult buffs that we're going to get, plus whatever stacks that we're going to have from Lumi. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Now Rimuru's under half HP, but we're ready to nuke, actually. So we'll bring Violet in. We'll use buff, buff, and buff. The EX ult damage doesn't really do anything because no one has an EX ult, but it does lower the space resistance on Trainee, which does help. And then we'll do 1 more stack of Lumi, and we have 2 single target ults, 1 type disadvantage, 1 type neutral, and that is going to be enough to kill. So Blanc does 246, and then Jean does 314, because she has that extra personal 30% synergy power buff to herself, which helps her hit harder. So yeah, that was not difficult at all. Alright, a much more recent team, the Antagonist meta, with Emils and Shinsha and Isis. You can bring Kyokyo. His weakness strike doesn't really mean anything because we don't have any fire characters here. The alt rush might be useful, but we brought, again, free-to-play Water Rimuru for turn 1. We've got Light Rimuru from Exalted Champions and then Violet in the back. Rimuru, not really that necessary, quite honestly. Just bring a different buffer. Like, you could bring Light Milim or something. Violet, if you don't have her, you could bring Rain or just any other support character that's not doing what Shinsha and Isis is doing. So some kind of alt buffer. No, not alt buffer, but like magic buffer or attack buffer or element buffer or something to do. Something. Anything that you're not already getting from Isis and Shinsha. Just bring support units to help them do damage. Because even though Shinsha is AoE, she is strong enough to take this stage out. Like, she can easily do 600,000 damage with this setup. Maybe a little bit less with a different setup, depending on what you have available. But because our 2 units in the back have attack skills, we're going to leave them in the back so they don't get sealed. Shinsha has a magic buff, and Isis has a debuff, so those do not get sealed. So turn 1, we'll just use Water Rimuru again, convert turn 1, and now we'll use him again turn 2, or you could use a Mills. Like, it's really up to you what you want to do on this turn. But we have a double of Mills, so we might as well use it. It's going to convert all these orbs to oranges, and then 2 of them will be rainbows. And then, depending on what we get on the 3rd turn, will be, do we get an EX alt for Shinsha or not? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This gets us an alt for literally everybody. So that's why we brought Light Rimuru, to convert all those to rainbow orbs, which means that we could have 5 rainbow orbs on turn 3, which is going to be really important. And we have 3 Shinsha orbs, which is excellent. So we will alt swap away and then not use anything else, and then that will leave us enough points to use most of the buffs here. We're going to be missing something. So, I mean, even if you don't have good replacements for Violet or Rimuru, like, Rimuru hit this rainbow alt convert is good here. You could bring someone else. Bring Blanc or something. But here, EX alt for Shinsha, we have an alt for Rimuru, we have an alt for Violet. Like, we've got choices. And there's the 4-shot right there on Shinsha. So now, alt buff, attack buff, magic buff. Like, we don't even use Isis. We don't use her buff at all. If you wanted to, you could replace her buff with Ice or with Violet or with Rimuru. Like, it does not matter. We're gonna kill here though, because we got triple alts plus a full hand. So Rimuru does 194. Shinsha does 438. So, and if we had used Isis buff, it would have been quite a bit higher than that. So you could have just waited another turn and used something else there. But definitely the Antagonist team can get it done, even with unit substitutions if you don't have Violet or Light Rimuru. Alright, another orange-focused team, New Year's Blessing. Almost a year old at this point, can still get the job done. Xion converting orbs to orange, which are not nerfed, giving guaranteed synergy and crit. We've put Rimuru and Benimaru in the back so they can avoid the seal, because both Milim and Shinsha do not have attack skills. They have debuffs or magic skills, so they're going to be free up front. And we don't have anyone to convert turn 1, which is fine. I don't really care, because what I'm banking on is having 3 Rimuru orbs on turn 2 that we could use Diablo to give him 6, and then 6 rainbows. That's what we're really banking on here. We don't really need Xion turn 2, because we're not going to use her anyways. So we'll bring Rimuru, we'll bring Benny, 1, 2, 3. We'll leave the 1 Rimuru orb, that way we guarantee that we have 3. And then we just take Benimaru out for one of the girls in the back. And then use Diablo's skill and then Rimuru's rainbow convert. And that'll be an EX alt for him very, very quickly. Like, it doesn't matter who you bring up front. So give away rainbow orbs. And now we're going to have an EX alt, a double Xion, and a lot of points. So here, decent damage. 7,000, whatever. So next turn we can use the attack buff, and then we can send him away. Or we can just go ahead and attempt to nuke, depending on how you feel, because we have 146 points. Not enough to use everything, though. So we'll do the alt swap, we'll do the attack buff, because it lasts for multiple turns. And then we will bring Benimaru in and use his physical buff, and then we'll send Rimuru away. So now, he's got both the physical and the attack buff. The weakness strike from him doesn't matter because we're type neutral. But here, we're going to get the 95 points that we need easily to use both Milim and Shinsha's buffs, and then we're going, and also Diablo's debuff, which is crit resistance down. Yeah, we're going to do plenty of damage here. So, how much damage? Let's find out. Oh, training was nice. She only 2-shot each character. So Rimuru in for Benimaru. We'll use the 2 buffs, or we'll debuff and buff, and then we'll bring Diablo in to use his crit down, which is 25%, I think. 20%. Yeah, whatever. Okay, and then Xion to give the guaranteed crit, guaranteed synergy to activate everything, and then Rimuru is, I think, just going to wipe in a one-shot. Yeah, 831. Training only has like 640,000 HP or something, so easy peasy lemon squeezy for New Year's Blessing. Alright, maybe you summoned for the Octagram Demon Lord banner with Guy and Milim. Maybe you got them, and maybe you got Isis on the free tickets and you got Diablo and Raphael from the main banner. Maybe you got incredibly, incredibly lucky for the 3rd anniversary And this team is going to very easily do it, because now we don't even really have to worry about the attack seal, because Lord's Ambition from not Diablo, but Guy is going to negate that completely. So it doesn't matter who's up front at this point. So this team runs very, very well. So jumping in, turn 1, we have the nerfed green orbs, not a big deal. We're just going to send the blues again, and that'll get us a stack of Guy ready for next turn. We'll bring our 2 backline units in. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. We could have even used the free buff from Milim here, but Milim is going to change Octagram Demon Lord orbs, which is great. This is not the hand, though. Hold on. This is what I was waiting for. I made a change, and I flipped the units around that I switched, and now we have an entire hand of Milim. Two different Milims, but they're all Octagram Demon Lord, which means we have a 6 hand of rainbows now, which is really good. So let's buff them up by 50%. Let's use Lord's Ambition to unseal our skills in the back line, which is Raphael. We're not going to use him, because we don't really need to, but this is the EX alt for the EX Milim, and then an alt for old Dark Milim, first Annie Milim, and that's pretty much all we need. We don't really need to do much else here. So, we'll take these hits, and then 150 points, 180 points now. You could either nuke this turn, or you can wait. And I think what I do is I end up waiting, so I could use 2 of the big time buffs. But let's find out what I actually do. So Lord's Ambition, gonna skip that. What are we doing here? I actually don't remember. It's been a couple hours. Oh, I'm thinking really hard about it. Okay. All right. Yeah, we're just gonna get some extra points. We're gonna up to 210 points here. That'll give us a little bit extra to use some other debuffs as well. Diablo will take those hits. I'm fairly confident we could have nuked and killed her anyways last turn, so I mean, if you don't want to, you could just do that instead. But now, 4 green orbs, we'll use the synergy power buff, and then we'll bring Raphael in, use his space and dark attack buff, plus another stack of synergy and alt, and then we will use the Drago and Pierce power from Isis. And you could have done like the Isis debuff or something like that instead. Either way, she's dead. Either way, Trainee is gone. So this team, very, very, very easy to take out EX2. Alright, and the final team for Part 2's video is going to be Exalted Champions. 2.5 anniversary team, still very good team. Velzard, we put Milim up front because she doesn't have an attack skill that can be sealed, unlike Rimuru and Guy, so we put them in the back. And we don't have Gazel. We brought Wind Trainee, who can give us protection gauge on turn 1, 2, and 3 instead. It'll still work out. And then we've brought Veldora, and then Isis, assuming that you have Isis. But if you don't, just bring a different support character, that'll work. You can bring Violet or something, except she's going to get sealed. So maybe a debuffer of some sort to get ult resistance down or something. Whatever floats your boat that you can get on this team is going to work, though. So let's skip ahead. I think this is just, yeah, that's just one run. So we don't have anyone to convert turn 1 again. It's not a big deal. We'll just send the 4 blue orbs, and we'll run with it. And then turn 2, we'll have Velzard. We'll have the points to use the green buff, which will negate most of what Trainee is debuffing. Because the debuff is 80% and Veldora's doing 70%, so we're only going to be 10% down. Not that big of a deal. But we have Guy, who can ult rush now. So getting ult gauge for people, not really that difficult. So boom, kick in. There's a whole bunch of protection gauge now. And we'll bring Veldora in for Rimuru. We'll use his green buff, and then we'll use the ult rush ability to give both her and Guy the ult. So boom, right there. We'll do Velzard. So now she's only 10% off of normal gauge increase, which is fine. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Not a lot of gauge for ults. However, we can just ult rush again. Like, there's nothing stopping us from doing that. We've made back pretty much all our points. So 1, 2, 3, 110 points now, and then we'll use one more ult rush, and I think we'll be ready to go after that. So we can ult swap too. Like, yeah, why not? We got the points for it. Boom. Does this get us the EX ult right here if we send the rainbow orbs and the greens? Because if we don't have to use the ult rush, that'll just save us some points for next turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It does. All right, so it does get us the EX alts for both of them without having to use another stack of Guy, which is good. So now, this next turn, we have enough points to do pretty much everything. The synergy buff, the alt buff, the attack buff, and then the debuff from Isis. So 1, 2, 3. We don't need to use the Drago Pierce power buff from Isis, because we're already getting Drago from Belzard, and no one is piercing on this team to begin with, so you don't have to use that skill. You can, if you want to try and naturally pierce, but it's unnecessary. We'll send Guy first, help Milim do a bit more damage. He does 355, and then Milim does 1.1 million. So we didn't really need Guy to do that. But there we go. There are 5 more teams you can use to take on EX2 to get those final dupes of the free-to-play Aretus. If you have any other teams that I have not shown that you found to have worked, please put them in the comments below. That way other people can see that. But that's it for me. Take it easy, and I'll see you all later.